Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a couple of things that I want to tell y'all, but first,
Yeah, leave your name and a brief message, and I'll be sure to get back with
because we're about to
you.
break it
Peace.
down, ladies and gentlemen.
Tevin, I love you. Break it down. I don't want nobody.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This love is a private affair. Interrupt the flow, know them better not dare.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break it on down. Now, while we break it on down, I'm going to not do anything on the screen, so y'all just going to watch the Soul Train for a moment. And I'm going to pause Mr. Tevin because what we don't want you guys to do is tell this to anybody. It's a secret. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to just talk to you. Hopefully, some of you will get this. In 1933, why is 1933 so important? Well, 1933 is when they decided to implement the plan. In 1913, pay attention, 20 years earlier, they created this thing called the Federal Reserve Act. And then they allowed the Federal Reserve Bank to become what they refer to as the central bank. As if the United States needed a central bank. They said they didn't want it. They said they were never going to do it, and then they did it. Jekyll Island! Doesn't worry. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. Whether they did it at Jekyll Island, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. 1933 was pivotal. Why? Because Franklin Delano Roosevelt was put in office. And when he was put in office, the first thing he did was made sure to document that the United States was in financial crises or bankruptcy. And they announced it through Congress and globally. But that's okay because every other nation was in bankruptcy at the time. The only ones who weren't in bankruptcy at the time were the banks. It was called the Great Depression for a reason. So everybody was on an even slate at the time. However, the banks were the ones who were in charge. Now, the president declared a national banking holiday. Okay, nationally. They took all of the gold because you all were too incompetent to hold on to your own funds. You don't believe me? Go back and read the act. He said because of you all, your parents, your grandparents, hoarding the monies. So you were too incompetent. You were not responsible enough. And so they were doing the Age of the Majority Act. If you don't believe me, go back and read the act. Wait, hold on. I said I wasn't going to... No, we're not going to demonstrate. Not going to show you. You can just go back and read Presidential Proclamation 2039. Look at what he says. He says because people were hoarding. He took it upon himself to declare a national emergency. Martial law. Go back and look. National emergencies are declared under the Trading with the Enemy Act. The Trading with the Enemy Act originally, pay attention, was a military act. It cannot be anything but. Congress then said, hey, he can do it whether we're in wartime or peacetime. Pay attention. That's what Congress said in the act. Well, the key point you need to understand is what they did is they made paper currency. They let you guys play with monopoly money. That's what you do with kids when the parents have some adult stuff to talk about. They send y'all in the room to play with toys. Well, they let y'all play with monopoly money. The Matrix. Haha. You don't believe me? Pay attention. In that, they made every piece of paper called eligible papers any notes. That's right. Drafts, bills of exchange, bankers' acceptances, even government contract obligations are notes. They made them all securities. That was their intent. They made them securities. Wait a minute, hold on. If you understood, you would understand that this was on March 9, 1933. This was before the Securities Act were even enacted. So you don't have to comport with or comply with the Securities Act of 1933 or 1934-35. Doesn't matter. Your private notes, your private bills of exchange are not under the Securities Act. They are considered at par when deposited with Federal Reserve member banks. Anybody that has access to the discount window is a Federal Reserve membered bank. That's why they give them access. Whether it's temporary or not, it doesn't matter. They're still a membered bank. When they give you access under Federal Reserve Operating Circular number 10, then you are under the capacity of a membered bank. Now, they take your promissory note. Anytime you deposit your promissory note, give it to any one of the membered banks of the Federal Reserve, and they accept your promissory note, it's received at par. It cannot be received otherwise. It can only be received at par. It cannot be received partially. It has to be received at par. Got it? When it's received at par, that means you don't owe nothing. Student loans, home loans, car loans, you don't owe a dime. But they won't listen to me. I understand they won't listen to you, but you still have to put this on the record. You still have to map it out point by point on the record. Because now you get to appeal it. Don't worry about the stupid judge on the bench in front of you. That's an idiot. They make decisions because they know you all are, pay attention, idiots. I'm not offending anybody. You can't get offended by me calling you an idiot. Why? Because you don't know that you have to appeal. You don't know that by you sitting up there letting the judge do whatever they want, you're ruining it for everyone else. Because now that case stands. Because you decided to bow down, sit down, crouch. And you're not even a hidden dragon. So, ladies and gentlemen, you must, you need, you should understand what's going on. They know your promissory note is securities. Notice why the Supreme Court said it is a rebuttable presumption. I was wondering why they actually worded it that way. They said I said worded it. Anyway, they said that it is a rebuttable presumption that a promissory note is a security. Then they brought up this Howey test based on the Howey case. And then they brought up the family resemblance test. Well, thank you for saying family resemblance, because when you say any notes, and then you said it includes notes, drafts, bills of exchange, bankers' acceptances, trade acceptances, and Federal Reserve notes, and Federal Reserve bank notes, and Federal Reserve circulating notes, and circulating notes of the banking associations, and they're at par, you just confirmed that my note is a security. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if a Federal Reserve note is a security, then my note is a security. Hold on now. Remember, they're to be received at par. If a Federal Reserve note is a security, then my note is a security. If the Federal Reserve note, any notes, is a form of legal tender, then my note is a form of legal tender. Well, don't worry about it, because it was Congress who said that they are securities. That was their intent. That's why I showed you in the previous video 7 times they mention your note as a security. Cha-ching. If it's a security, then it's not a promissory note, because a promissory note cannot be a security. Why? Because a promissory note is a simple contract. I promise to pay that person right there because they gave me something. You can't get more simpler than that, Gus. That's it. A promissory note is a simple contract. You know what a promissory note cannot do? It cannot have conditions. Yeah, you have to do this, you have to do that, and if you don't do this, you don't do that. Such as an endorsement. Pay to the order of. That's a condition. That's an order. Promissory notes cannot contain an order. That's the law. Not because I said so, because a promissory note must be unconditional. An order is a condition. That's why, what is it, 9102? So 9 US UCC 102 section 65. Go ahead and take a look at it. It can never contain an order to pay because it can never be evidenced by an order to pay. There can't be an order to pay placed on the instrument. It's illegal to call it a promissory note. But that's okay. That's not the only thing that you need to know about why it's not a promissory note. So, bring up the BIC program. Is my note part of the BIC program? What's the BIC? Oh, the Borrower in Custody Program. Yeah, that's Federal Reserve Operating Circular number 10. And the BIC agreement, they go hand in hand. They're like bosom buddies, like the TV show. Oh, it is? Okay, well then thank you. Your Honor, I move that you dismiss this with prejudice and get them for fraud up on the court. Your Honor, I don't understand what they're saying. It sounds like gobbledygook to me. Oh, no, it's not gobbledygook. Go read the contract. The BIC contract. I have a contract with them. It's under the Borrower in Custody Program. Yeah, I'm the holder in due course. Did you know that, Your Honor, if we take a look at the form, it's called OC10, and it's called a letter of agreement. Okay? BC10, letter of agreement. Y'all need to be requesting that form. The BC10 letter of agreement shows the amount of money they borrowed from the Federal Reserve on your behalf, that 900%. Man, go get your BC10 form from them. And you don't want the regular BC10. Okay? You want the letter of agreement BC10 form, because there are 4 BC10 forms. You can ask for all of them, but that's the main one you want. And you have a right to it because you are a beneficiary to the agreement. That's a security agreement, people. Pay attention. It's a security agreement. Yep, they got a trustee assigned to that and everything. That's called the indenture trustee some of y'all been talking about. But hold on, we ain't going to just stop at no indenture trustee. Guess who else we going to talk about? Well, it's the securitization trustee. That's right. The person is called a securitization trustee because they securitize the note, trading it on the market. And they're also called a collateralization trustee. Collateralization trustee because they collateralized your promissory note. The BIC program represents your note being collateralized. Guess what? It ain't a promissory note anymore because you cannot collateralize a promissory note. You can only collateralize a security. That's how you prove your promissory note is a security. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot foreclose on a security and you cannot collect a debt on a security. A security does not evidence a debt. It's not a debt instrument, people. Go ahead. Go do your research. Go look it up. If you don't think I know what I'm talking about, then I've wasted 13 minutes of my life. You can't get that back, and neither can I. Goodbye.